Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
Good evening. Welcome back to the CCCSLLL Stadium Cast with Toffees and Chaz. Guys, this cast will be brought to you by Band Gaming, the official social app of the CSL. Go there, join it, get it, download it, suck it up. Second is brought to you by Twitch, the greatest streaming website in the history of the universe. If not, why would Amazon have bought them? So join them, support them, love them. Speaking of people that we love, Gorgon's not here tonight, so I guess we're stuck with Chaz. Hashtag kidding, sort of. Chaz, how you doing tonight?
Thanks for having me. I'll see you tomorrow.
Oh, man. That last game was an absolute massacre.
I've seen closer games of Dota in my days.
Yeah, no, I've seen closer games. I was gonna come up with some sort of Carthage Salted Earth campaign. You know, it literally felt like the end of an era. I mean, it was brutal. There was brutality. Caligula's time in office looked prettier than that game did in terms of blood flow. So that said, if you're UCSD staring down the barrel of the Roman Empire in UC Davis, how do you stop the Crimson Tide? Well, I guess the Aggies Tide, since they're not actually Alabama, but you know what I mean.
We went from Rome to Alabama in the
the Crimson Tide. I mean, like
your fingers.
I mean the Roman legions and sort of how they killed them. And long story short, Davis really wrecked UC San Diego. What's UC San Diego do to win this one?
Not throw the early game like they did. I don't want to pin it on one player because that's dramatically unfair. He could add supports there. But really just giving up too many solo kills around the map is a big no-no against a team as solid as UC Davis. And when you gave the Alchemist as much farm as they did, he just became a threat immediately. And despite how much effort they were pumping into the lifesteal, he just couldn't catch up. That's not a possibility when you have an Alchemist in the game.
Yeah.
So really, I think it just comes down to stop the early game mistakes. Just play the game that you're used to playing instead of trying to force something.
Yeah.
And then they'll look stronger and, as you mentioned, less of a massacre.
And, you know, it really didn't come down. The early game mistakes were really, I think, a symptom of drafting against UC Davis instead of drafting for UC San Diego. So hopefully this time around we see them playing their roles. We see them drafting for themselves. We see them taking a little pride, a little Triton pride, if you will. UC Davis opens up with the Sand King, presumably in the offlane, so we don't really see that as a support hero anymore. Slardar picked up, presumably to run their offlane. So UCSD saying, all right, well, you know, how are they with this hero? Is this a comfortable one? You see them practicing a lot? Is this a better chance for them in that offlane position?
So Slardar is typically played by Sky on the side of UC San Diego, which means he will not be the one position carry if that's the case.
Interesting.
So maybe heeding my advice this time around. Again, this is the first two picks of the game, so we can't really say too much, but Slardar has definitely been the staple of Sky, so maybe a potential roster.
But you know what they say, it's the same rules as your nose. If you don't get it in two picks, you're probably not going to get it at all. So really those first two picks, very important when we talk about drafting. Witch Doctor getting picked up here for UCSD to aid the Slardar. A lot of physical damage. Obviously, Witch Doctor Slardar, a fun interaction because of the armor reduction. Both of those stuns, though, short. And it seems like UC Davis thrives on being able to just wreak havoc in these team fights. Are you looking for UCSD to pick up some more lockdown progressively, or what do you feel like they're developing here?
So the standard UCSD play style that I have noticed is raw aggression. And we saw that in the last game, and it did not work out. However, when they run aggressive tri-lanes, particularly we've seen Witch Doctor, Slardar, and Undying in the same game from them before, it's brutal. It's an absolute disaster for the other tri-lane. So if they decide to run that this time around, that could really help the start. Potentially what they were looking for last game, right? A strong, quick start to get them on the ground running. Really, it's hard to say, though, because running aggressive tri-lanes, and you leave someone alone against the Sand King, and that's a nightmare on its own.
That's true. So Sand King, very strong, like you said, in the lane right now. A lot of control. Keeper, the light gets picked up by them as well, so we do have a lot of wave clear on UC Davis's side. Last time around, I believe UCSD picked up... No, yeah, UCSD had the lifesteal last time, correct? Yes, or not the lifesteal, the Keeper of the Light.
Both. They had both.
Yep. So they had lifesteal, Keeper of the Light. Keeper of the Light did not work out well for them. Problem being that they were playing from behind. I think Keeper hit maybe level 11 by the time the game ended, so it didn't have a lot of impact from that Illuminate sort of combination. UC Davis, with the farm that they're capable of, with getting that Ags up on the Keeper at a decent time frame, is a little bit scary. The other scary side of things is with Sand King Keeper, the entire UC Davis draft is still wide open because those heroes are both very flexible, right? So UC San Diego, essentially, I think now has to play their game because they can't try to play against the UC Davis draft in the position that they're in.
Yeah, UCSD is now on the reactive side of things, right? And they'll be taking the first pick as soon as we get out of these next round of bans, which leaves them susceptible to a lot of UC Davis counter picks or potentially oddball things like the Alchemist last game. UCSD absolutely was not prepared for that. So UCSD this time around will have last pick, will have more flexibility there. But yeah, their draft has turned from what they have planned to very reactive.
So Juggernaut's going to get knocked out. They don't want to see the Aggies with the Juggernaut again. He was a big problem. They decide to leave the Alchemist on the table, unless that's what they're discussing right now. With the armor reduction from the Slardar, you got to wonder if they're interested in getting the Alchemist off with this ban. The mid and safe is open. They go with the Tinker, interestingly enough. Not sure about that one. Why ban the Tinker here, Chaz?
I believe Lucky. I don't know if Lucky's in this game. I'm not sure if Lucky 57 is PMA. Don't crucify me, chat. But Lucky 57 has really been the strength of UC Davis to this point. He is their 7.2k mid laner, pretty core to the fundamental playstyle of this team. And I know he plays a phenomenal Tinker. So perhaps that's the rationale behind it. Just deny him a strong pick. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, deny a strong pick. But on the other hand, you've got Slardar damage, armor reduction. You throw an Alchemist armor reduction into that as well, coupled with the Witch Doctor ultimate, and they get a good AoE initiation, and all bets are off, man. So there is a little bit of fear there, which makes me think Davis has to, or UCSD, Jesus Christ. Alchemist, I think, would work well for UCSD, but I mixed up the two. I'm not going to lie. I got to stop doing these late games, Chaz.
You're an East Coaster, aren't you?
I am an East Coaster.
This is bright and early 8 o'clock for me, so it's I got hours on me.
Fair enough. So that does make sense why they didn't ban out the Alchemist now that we've figured out why Toffees was completely backwards right now. That said, I like the Alchemist for UCSD. Do they have an Alchemist player?
No.
Oh, well, there you go. That solves that problem.
I'm sure anybody really with a mouse and a keyboard could play Alchemist to a pretty effective level. But if that's not what you're drafting to, and from the looks of a Slardar and a Witch Doctor, that's not really screaming Alchemist to me. I think UCSD has something else in mind. A favorite of Kronos, who is UCSD's standard mid laner, is the Storm Spirit. And not only do they have Keeper of the Light, but it was banned out.
Right.
So it's going to be... I'm interested to see how this draft will adapt. And this is pretty much the quintessential UCSD draft in the first 3 picks.
Okay, I like to see that. That's what we talked about wanting to see, was the idea that they would pick their own heroes, and so they do. Ricky comes out. What do you like about this? Is it just that they're good at playing it? Do they have a good synergy together? Does this seem like it's going to be a good plan for them?
So Alice Margatroyd has told me on 6 different occasions that they have never lost a game where they picked Ricky. At least in the first game of a set. If they pick him afterwards, they'll lose with him. But he just prides himself on this Ricky. So okay. I know for almost a fact that this will be Alice Margatroyd Ricky, which makes me believe that they are rotating back to the standard team compositions that they've been practicing. So I have a bit more faith in UCSD this time around. The Sven pick coming up is oddly early, in my mind. That feels like a pretty vulnerable Sven to pick up this early. But, I mean, it's UC Davis. You can't really question a team that hasn't been defeated yet.
Right. Absolutely. And that's where it comes down to. You got to wonder about it. It feels a little bit like a Beatty pick to a certain extent, saying, hey, you know, pick against this. We got other plans. So Ven's going to get picked up here, presumably in the safe lane. It does add to their push, all right? The idea of Sand King, Keeper, and Sven means tons of wave clear, tons of push potential, tons of high ground hold. And UCSD right now, the thing that I see them missing is the ability to push into high ground at this particular moment. With the heroes that they have, well, Invoker maybe fix that. With the first three, they're going to have a hard time taking ground off of these really great clearing heroes.
At the very least, I'm excited to see UCSD default to Comfort. And I know Chad is tired of us saying this by now, but really that is the defining characteristic of strong teams in the CSL is being able to play heroes at a comfortable level. Now, this is almost definitely a position change up by UCSD. This will be a with my strongest Invoker. That's his favorite hero, bar none, played 4 times as much as any other hero he plays. I feel much better about this game now for UCSD going into the game at least. Well, they have to fix their early game issues, but I definitely like this start.
Well, I like them playing, like you said, heroes they like to play. Ricky going to get some great vision. I like the Invoker potential for the push. A lot of armor reduction to really help with Witch Doctor and Ricky putting out a ton of damage. So UCSD plays what they're comfortable with and plays a lineup that synergizes well. Now, Davis picks up the Silencer. Presumably support Silencer, you think, here?
That is a tough one to call.
Right?
UC Davis has drafted very well to this point. And as you mentioned, we typically see Sand King in the offlane. However, that's not a fact because he still does very well at support. They could run the core Silencer, have a Sand King support, and now they're picking an offlaner. We don't know.
I mean, you can put him in the jungle. That's why I love these Sand King early picks, is he's so flexible. It gives the opposing team absolutely nothing to work with. And in a league like CSL especially, that's really strong because it means that they can't plan ahead. And Aggies seem to really be enjoying doing that because they've done it in both of their drafts so far. Now, the Lifestealer is banned out. The Magnus is banned out. I like that Magnus ban a lot from UCSD. I didn't cross my mind when they were putting it together, but I think that would have been a really strong hero for the Aggies. And instead, they pick up a TA to go into that mid position. So still, we don't know Silencer or Sand King necessarily who's going where. This does tell me probably Sand King offlane, though.
Yeah, and that's... unless they have a pretty borked offlane with, I don't know, Silencer, Keeper, I feel you have to offlane the Sand King, and probably solo at that, because Sven is very vulnerable to a Ricky, Slardar, Witch Doctor, Shenanigan type gank. And not even to forget Sunstrike, that's going to be a huge factor in this game with the Ricky roaming around.
You got to keep in mind, though, it's going to be a little bit tough. A lot bit tough for that Slardar and the ganks because Slardar's going to be so low on health this entire match or at the beginning of this match because Keeper of the Light and Silencer both with so much potential to just harass him constantly, keep his health low, and make sure that he has no mana to speak of. So that said, let's flip over to the game as it gets underway, boys and girls. This should be a good one. Give me just a second while we wait for the intro to end. Got there just in time for the Sunstrike. So Invoker, UCSD goes ahead and lets them know right away. I will be playing Exhort in case you hadn't guessed it. And this game will get started. UCD versus UCSD. San Diego versus Davis in this matchup of Californians. My name's Toffees. My co-caster here is Chaz. And this is the Collegiate Star League. For the Radiant side, UC Davis, we are going to have Chocobo playing the Keeper of the Light. We're going to have Hope on the Sand King. We're going to have Silencer played by Zycon. In the mid, it's going to be Ms. Pig on the Sven. And last but not least, PMA on the Templar Assassin.
And on the side of my oh-so-favorite UCSD Tritons, we have Barbecue Please on his Witch Doctor. Kronos taking the Lobster Slark to the safe lane with my strongest, now on the core role of mid-invoker. Support Ricky is played by Alice Margatroyd. And finally, Sky back to the offlane on his Slardar.
Kronos goes to the high lane, gets caught from behind. They come in with some nice stuns. Good bounce, though, from Barbecue Please to make sure that Kronos gets away, just dodging the Illuminate. Meanwhile, on the bottom, Hope in a similar situation will go ahead and back off, using that Caustic Finale to really enjoy his ability to go in there and get harassed without dying. So that Caustic Finale, a nice pickup early on, really makes him such a good laner, such good survivability, right, because of the slow. Off to a pretty even start, splitting the runes. Let's pull up the last hit tonight chart for you guys to keep an eye on. Should be a lot of fun as we watch this match. Remember, the onus is on UC San Diego. They have to win this game or it goes 2 in the favor of Davis, allowing them to extend their completely undefeated streak. Alice comes forward, going to soak a little XP here off of PMA, I suppose. And, I don't know. Not XP, I'm sorry. He's just going to come in here and cause trouble for him.
Yeah, he got the sentry. That's pretty much all he was there for. So, worth his time, I suppose.
So they do send Slark and Skye to the bottom lane together against Hope.
I imagine Skye will be leaving pretty
hope so.
Swiftly.
Chocobo comes down. He's got the Illuminate, and Kronos and Skye will pull it out and then back away. So obviously he'll probably head out of here. They can't really afford to have both of them down there on the bottom lane. Alice now rotating around. Skye in the trees. They're trying to get a quick gank, it looks like, here on the bottom lane to set things off. So Hope in a little bit of trouble, getting harassed by Alice. I thought we'd see a dive, but nope, Slaughter just TP's out. With my strongest in the mid versus PMA, should be a pretty good matchup here. Who wins that? Invoker versus TA. Where's the struggle going to be?
TA just has a strong laning experience against pretty much any hero. I think as soon as Invoker gets some farm, though, he could play much more aggressively, particularly the Urn. And,
UC Davis keeping the first blood streak alive. Gets a pick off on Zeriki, who was just too far forward. Thought he was safe, but he was not. And just nice AoE. It was basically Illuminate into AoE Burrow Strike that just was too much damage for him, even if he's invisible. Up on top, the harass on Slaughter coming out of Zycom. We talked about how frustrating it is to play against the Silencer, and that will continue in this laning phase as they take him up here to help out Sven as Sven seeks the farm. Should be an interesting lineup. It's interesting to see the 2-1-2s coming out.
Yeah, I like the decision to bring Slark away from the Sven. He probably would have had a rough time, especially against the Silencer. That just denies the entire purpose of the hero. So, a good idea. And as we mentioned, Sand King is by no means a good time to farm against, but I think it would be better than the Sven Silencer combo that he was facing up there.
Absolutely. I am a little bit worried. I like that UC Davis has such a varied draft. They have some really good early game, obviously, with that Sand King, his ability to sort of get some farm, and the Sunstrike from Invoker. They've got a really strong mid game, and then Sven in the late game is going to be absolutely devastating for them to deal with. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what is UCSD's path to victory here.
Kronos needs farm, and he's doing an all right job. He's out farming the Sand King, which is his laning opponent, but really that's not too impressive thus far. I feel like this is a very tough game for UCSD, especially because Ricky really not having the impact he really wanted to thus far. Invoker isn't doing phenomenal. He's holding his own against the TA, so that's something, but he needs a lot of farm to be able to be effective like you'd want him to be.
So they do bring 3 to the top. It's turned into an aggressive tri-lane for UC Davis. You may remember they did this in the last match as well. Rotated everybody up to out to the bottom lane when they were dire to cause the same sort of trouble and look for these pickoffs. PMA comes forward. Ricky can use the chance to get a little bit of a right click in. But immediately Refraction goes up, turns back around. Nice side blade leap to get double damage out there on both those heroes. And what looked like a little bit of a harass turns into a really unfortunate situation for UCSD as they're just taking a ton of damage. 20-8 right now for the TA, and Invoker only at 12-6. So even with Ricky's help, he's still not able to get in there and get those last hits.
Yeah, where does Ricky go to be effective? At the moment, he's only level 2, doesn't have smokescreen for the easy silence, and he's not going to be able to get a kill until he gets that. Really, essentially no damage right now. Kronos on the Slark doesn't have enough damage really to pick off the Sand King as well. This is just a very rough early game, and not really the one Ricky won. But now
Barbecue Please could be in some trouble. We're going to make the move. The Illuminate, max range Illuminate, just barely hits the tip and takes him out. So Chocobo held that to the last possible second. Chocobo clearly feeling pretty comfortable on this Keeper of the Lights ranging ability. So they do get a pick off there, makes it 2-0. Gold lead already at a 1,500 advantage for the guys from UC Davis, and they don't have an Alchemist this time around. Now we do see a move on the bottom. Hope's on the run. Alice thinks he can chase, but he gets turned around. Hope goes for the right clicks and has him really in a tough situation. So we're going to go with a mini stun from Barbecue Please out of desperation. Look how low that Riki got.
Extremely low, and it was nice that Barbecue Please came in just to ensure that Riki gets out alive, but just too hasty. The name of the game so far has been too hasty. The Riki pick hasn't paid off, too aggressive, and Sky really can't do anything.
No, I mean, he's reverted to hiding in the trees, but the creep finds him. Zycon with the right click. Sky will just bear. Oh, no, he won't. I thought he had it by about 6 HP, but I was wrong. And he goes down. His tree hiding strategy not going to pan out. Now they move on PMA. He's fine. He's got the refraction. And he's sticking in there. He doesn't care. It's a little ballsy.
Really did not expect that much damage, I guess, from the...
No, I guess not. Now they get the turnaround, so it goes 1 for 1. Maybe he thought the TPs would come in faster? I'm not really sure what the strategy was there. You know what that was? That was the taunt UC Davis cockiness that we just saw come into play.
True. And I did talk about this a bit earlier, but UC Davis has dropped a few games. Not sets, but games. And overconfidence is definitely an issue for some teams. I don't want to make that assumption about UC Davis. This is just what we see from the data. So they could be prone to this. I don't think that's a for sure thing, but we definitely saw a bit of over jealousy or zealousy there.
So Alice is still level 2, was looking for the courier, got there a couple of seconds too late, and just having a really hard time. I mean, the longer that he sort of putters around, the harder it's going to become to stay relevant. I mean, a level 2 Riki right now is just meh at best.
This is why we've seen teams shy away from the Riki. At the beginning of the year, he was almost first phase every game.
Yeah.
Now it's just... he definitely has some very noticeable weaknesses.
Riki's going to come forward. Still no smoke, so he can't do anything to slow Chocobo down. Chocobo will get out, and PMA will finish Riki. Oh, what a lucky man. Cloak and Dagger procced at exactly the right time. Good lord. Oh, that was close. I thought for sure he was dead. He got just lucky enough to dodge that last side blade. But they're not done. Rotation. Barbecue Please wants to come in. PMA with that refraction, very happy. Now he's taking a good bounce coming out of Barbecue Please. Sunstrike will miss. PMA still got Maledict on him. He should die. He will go down. So a good pickoff for UCSD. Absolutely needed at this stage of the game with that rotation from Barbecue Please.
I like the decision to bring the Witch Doctor mid. We saw the Invoker having a rough time, and now just with the presence of the Witch Doctor, that's 2 kills that they did not have otherwise. Makes up for the Riki's lack of levels, lack of really game impact at this point, and I don't know what he needs to do to get back into this. I think he just needs to sit with Sky, soak a little bit of XP, but without Smokescreen, he is essentially useless.
Yeah, no, definitely. So he's still coming around here, looking to get that level 3 up, desperately looking to get that level 3 up. Looks like he's going to go try to sneak a courier again, perhaps, here. Down the bottom, harassing on the Invoker. They bring in 3 heroes. They want to get a kill on him. There's the stun, and they will get it. No big deal. I like that Sentry Ward, by the way. Safely tucked up there as high as possible. Good pickoff. UC Davis continuing their dominance in this match. Basically, every time a kill comes out for UCSD, they seem to answer it with 2. Alice tracking Zycon, but not much he can do other than just follow him around. When you think instead he'd maybe sit here and soak up some of that XP.
They did just see him place the ward, I imagine, if Alex is watching his items at all. Not really going to get much done here, though, against a level 6 Silencer. That was a very ambitious engage.
Yeah. Comes out, they see him, or he threw the Sentry Ward down, obviously. Sees Alice. Alice got nowhere to go. Almost dies just from the initial attacks of the Silencer, who's not even a core here. Don't forget that. And now Alice may actually... Okay, he's got that regen going, so the Tango saves his life. You know, it speaks a lot when a Tango is saving your life at 9 minutes into the game.
Yeah, it speaks volumes about level 2 and the lack of the HP that you have just due to no strength gain. I honestly think he just needs to sit invisible next to Sky and just let XP come to him. Even if he has no impact around the map, he's essentially a detriment to his team if he's just going to keep dying.
Yep. There's a point where a liability, a player becomes way more of a problem for their team than a benefit, and Ricky seems like he's getting there. So find something for Ricky, get him a little something something. Here comes a potential dive. It looks like Miss Pig goes in very deep. Chocobo with the Illuminate. Miss Pig turns back around. The bait worked out. Ricky comes forward, but Witch Doctor, baby, puts in the work from the high. He goes around the jungle so nobody could see him. Gets a double kill for UCSD, making it 5 versus 4. More importantly, that was a 1,200 gold swing at this stage of the game. That's pretty big.
Yeah, that's huge. Ricky got a level just by, almost dying. That's great. You'll take that absolutely. Now he has the Tome of Experience as well, got Tranquils finished. He's finally going to be a non-liability and maybe can make an impact around the map.
So, and that really came down to UC Davis again. They had nice vision here, so they thought that they would set up really a bait, right? They ran Sven through knowing that Sven couldn't engage under the tower, knowing that they would want to chase him because he was low. And at the end of the day, it really set them up, if the Witch Doctor hadn't been there, to get a good pick off. It was a smart play by Davis, but like we said, a little too cocky because those TPs came out and it cost them big time.
And you were talking earlier too, amplify damage alongside Witch Doctor's Death Ward is just absolutely crazy damage.
It really is, and we saw that as they absolutely melted that Sven down. He had no hopes of surviving once the combo was out. Now, Kronos is in the jungle looking to get something. He's got that double damage that he's been desperately trying to use. He's tracking Chocobo. Chocobo with a good ward there sees him coming, though, and is able to keep his distance. Meanwhile, Sven happily free farming. Right now, the top 3 farmers on the map are 1, 2, 3, Radiant Core, Radiant Core, Radiant Core. Now, those of you who might be joining us from other game, I know StarCraft just ended. That roughly translates into bad news for the Dire. That's these top guys up here.
That's not roughly. That's pretty much exact. They might get a kill on the Chocobo here.
He doesn't have the damage yet. Oh, these Sunstrikes have been off by like 1/4 of an inch every single time. Meanwhile, let's go to the top lane, where it looks like we got a fight going on between Hope and Sky. Sky's on the run. Hope's on the chase. 2 seconds on the stun. He gets it. Hope gets nothing.
This is legitimately one of the hardest lanes for the Slardar, the Sand King. It's brutal. You can't win. Anytime you go into farm, Caustic Finale just wreaks havoc on you.
Yeah, any melee just gets completely shut down by what Hope's running right now. And Hope has been playing on his game. He's got that Aether Lens up already, so his range just absolutely astronomical. Kronos, by the way, dropped very low on the bottom there, but he's going to be able to run himself out of trouble. Sven, with the strength, Ricky comes back around. Kronos as well. They're looking to try to make something happen here. There's the silence for the harass from Alice. The pounce does hit. Will it be enough? Ooh, it is. They get the kill. Almost lose Kronos, but he'll get out, and they might pick up Chocobo now.
I think they will.
Oh, misses, but they will get Chocobo here regardless. In
the meanwhile, the Silencer, I believe, managed to solo... No, Sand King was still there. Invoker died in the top lane.
Okay.
So those 2 kills don't come for free for UCSD, but we see much better play than we saw last game. Like, much, much better play.
Absolutely. So, yeah, definitely better play. They're playing heroes they're comfortable with. You can tell that already. Ricky has managed to get himself to level 6, so he is becoming more effective. That Orb of Venom actually put in a lot of work in that last grouping engagements here. Though it's still a 3,000 gold lead for the guys from UC Davis as they find themselves still in firm control of the match. And that's the problem, is UCSD put together a really good gank. They invested a lot of resources to bring people down to get those kills against UC Davis. But Davis gets a kill on the top lane at the same time. So for every punch that San Diego throws out there, Davis seems to have a counter punch ready to go.
Yeah, and a big point of contention here is Invoker is now just picking up the Midas. Is that the full Midas? Yes, it is. Invoker's just now getting his Midas. He is much further behind where he needs to be. The Witch Doctor has 4 kills. Again, not normally a huge issue, but if you're behind in a game, you'd really like those on a core and not really your Witch Doctor. Not great news all around for UCS.
Hope doesn't even care. Gets wailed on by the Slark, walks in, gets the rune, and just jumps away. To speak of how powerful he feels at this stage of the game. Now we do see 3 get together. Rotations by everyone towards the mid lane. It looks like it's time to push, in their opinion. Ricky going to come up here and check on stacks. Throws down a ward to finally block the stacks they've been putting up. And Radiant will move. Oh, wait, they got vision, though. Look at this. So they know that Alice is there. Alice is going to get chased from behind. Do they have any dust? It doesn't look like it, so Alice should be able to get himself out of that.
That could have been disastrous for him. And Aetherlens on Sand King not only spells more range on the Burrow Strike, but the damage it deals as well. So that's really nothing to scoff at. I'm assuming Aghanims is on his mind as well. That'll be a lot of damage.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Especially at this stage of the game. When you're talking an Ags up on that Sand King, you know, by 20 minutes, it's a lot to deal with in that mid game. Sky with a really nice blink stun gets two PMA and Zycon, but they turn it back around. Silences come out, and Dire can't really do anything with it. Now Illuminate catches two, and they all drop very, very low. PMA thought about diving the tower, decided it was not worth it, and we'll go back to happily farming with those side blades.
Witch Doctor almost soloed the Sven in the meet. Oh, Witch Doctor soloed the Sven. That was interesting, to say the least. So Witch Doctor, we saw a TP coming in mid. It was actually canceled by the Sven, who stunned him. And
Gotcha.
Witch Doctor was very upset by that sequence of events. And, well, that's a 5-in-1 Witch Doctor.
Yeah, so Witch Doctor, potentially the carry for UCSD here, as he's been getting a good amount of kills. He's already got the, looks like, Force Staff recipe bought up and ready to go next time he's ready for a pickup. So some good farm on him, at least. That's something. Let's see. Gold at almost 4,000 now for UCD. XP at 2,000. And it looks like both teams looking to get a pick off. PMA finds Chronos. Chronos with the pounce. PMA turns back around. Chronos has to run. Armor reduction is out there. PMA from the back gets hit by the Invoker. And PMA will go down. Beautiful play by UCSD, who is turning this game on its head. They were so far behind. They said, you know what? We refuse to let this happen again. And they're going to go into the Roche pit.
I don't like the decision to Roche, but at the very least, you can't fault them for trying, and that's a good pickup. The TA kind of fell into their lap. It wasn't a really proactive decision, but you'll take those. That's essentially free for them.
Pings out on Zycon, thinking about coming in on him, and it looks like Chronos and With My Strongest will go ahead and get that secretly, because they're going to try hit. Yep, they're going to hit Zycon and show here. Nice initiation. Blink Dagger online from Sky. He says, surprise. Gotcha. Alice from the back means no silencer spell casting, and this will be a Roche and a pickoff. So whether or not we like the Roche attempt, it was smart by UCSD, unexpected by UC Davis, and they still managed to get a pick once they saw heroes in the other lanes.
It's a breath of fresh air to see UCSD playing Comfort Heroes this time around. It looks like a competitive game. And yes, they're down a fair chunk of gold. That cannot be overstated, because they are currently playing from behind, and they're going to lose the Witch Doctor now, essentially, for free. That being said, the last game at this point was a different story altogether.
Yeah. Now we are looking at PMA with a Desolator at this point and a Sven with the Echo Saber. So those two in conjunction, when they get together to open up these fights, can just really cause a ton of trouble for UCSD, especially with that Psyblade obviously going through and hitting more than one hero in one shot. Hope's going to go ahead and push the top lane as he's got his Blink Dagger running alongside of all kinds of things. He's got the Windlace and the Infused Raindrop yet to be used as he leans on this tier 2 with the rest of the team. On the bottom, it looks like Chronos will pull the creeps to try and push it down, but they're going to trade a tier 1 for a tier 2. Aegis still in play.
When you're down 3,000 gold, this is a perfectly fine trade to take. I think if UCSD goes in here, this is a death sentence. I really think they should just wait it out and concede this one. But
With My Strongest gets caught by the Sand King. Sand King with the right click goes underground, and he's killed before he can do anything as he is rocked, locked, and dropped by Silencer and the rest of the crew. Hope with that blink initiation just so strong. Alice, Barbecue Please come around. Whoa, Barbecue Please pops the Force Staff. There's the blink follow, the stun, the massacre. So you said if SD goes in, that could be bad news for them. They didn't even have to go in. They just walked around the general vicinity and got tri-killed.
I think you have to know that you're very far behind if you're UC San Diego. And if you just compare your two team compositions, it's very clear which team composition fights earlier better, and that is UC Davis. Keeper of the Light, Sven, Sand King, Templar Assassin, and Silencer. This just screams mid-game strength.
I mean, to a certain extent, though, it also screams late game. I mean, that's the big issue that they're running into is they can't just hang out and try to out-farm them. They're forced to try to fight this a little bit. Speaking of which, that's a 20-minute Rax.
This all could have been avoided had they just stayed alive.
Yep.
It's small mistakes, and me and Gorgon joke about this constantly, but a single small mistake spells your doom, and now Ricky's probably dead again.
He good. No vision.
He was right on a sentry.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I'm-
I wonder why he didn't fight. He must have assumed that there was backup coming or something.
Probably true. The vision from Davis is great.
Kronos goes on Sven, but Sven just turns around and tries to nuke him down. Beautiful Sunstrike and Sky initiation. The whole team was there, plus Kronos double damage. What can you do?
Yeah, I would feel much better about UCSD's position
Mm-hmm.
had they not, look at the net worth. That says it all. Slark, Invoker, Slarter just fell behind the silencer. This is not where you need to be, and Slark really can't do it alone. He could pick off the support here and there. Keeper of the Light's essentially food, but he can't do it alone.
Right. Yeah, if you're just killing Keeper of the Light, you're not going to get a well-balanced diet. Now, he does get the Courier, 2,000 gold on it. Kronos now on the chase. Zycon saw the pounce and runs for the hills, but Kronos, nice and fast, decides not to go in too deep. In the mid position, though, a nice Sunstrike to open against Jacobo, who will die in the first hit. There's the Blink initiation by Sky. They lost the Ricky. Big stun, though, by Hope. And they will lose one, but the Aegis comes out. Sky in some trouble. He drops down. Aegis will come up just in time to cause some trouble. The silence, so he's got nowhere to go. Slark on the run, pops the ultimate. Will get himself out here, but like you said, is he enough to win the game? Wants to turn back and go in. Barbecue Please does have the ultimate, so he may try to make the move on PMA. There's the bounce. Works pretty well. Invoker in. Barbecue Please says, I'm not even going to use the ultimate. We'll just wait him out. We know we've got AoE. Hope, though, comes in. He knew they were going to stick around. Hits the ultimate combo and goes Kronos for TA.
Yeah, and Kronos is the best UCSD has right now, and now Sven.
Sven from the back. He came in through the jungle for this one. Turns around. They don't have a stun, so they will let the Witch Doctor escape. A nice Force Staff to TP for him. And Alice can only stand by and watch, praying for some D-wards.
This is just from bad to worse. UCSD does not have the tools really to get back into this, and it's going to take a lot of consecutive kills to get anything remotely of value.
Hope backing out. Knows he's in a little bit of trouble here. They should be able to pick him off. Armor reduction is on. He'll go down, and a nice stun fortuitously hits the Sven. It wasn't intended for him, but it does pay out. That said, Ricky will get caught by the rotations and knocked down. Now Sky coming forward, hoping to get something. They're pinging out Zycon, but he overblinks and has to beware. He knows Sven is hiding there somewhere. In the meantime, yeah,
there's just farming. It's one-for-one trades. Sure, they will almost exclusively benefit UCSD here, but, well, that's free. Everything else about this situation is bleak. T8, Sven, Sand King sitting atop the net worth graph, and Kronos is reaching a point to where he can kill essentially anybody he wants, should they be alone.
That's the problem, though, is he's really building with that Basher and that Shadowblade to get these pickoffs. You've got to pick off specialist partner in Ricky, who now, by the way, has the Diffusal Blade. The problem is, once UC Davis decides it's group time, I don't know where that puts UCSD. If they're pickoff specialists going up against 3, they're not going to be able to make it happen, as we keep seeing these engagements with fast rotations by UCSD, lots of blink daggers on them so that they can move around the map very, very quickly. It just continues to seem like a tall order for UCSD as this game progresses to that 25-minute mark where I expect Davis to become very, very strong.
And with BKB done on Sven and Hurricane Pike almost on TA, that is pretty much the signal to group for Davis. That's where game is hard. And it's... I feel the Invoker needs a solid 10 more minutes to be really effective, and Kronos is just too deep on this one.
Now, he did go in. He got himself the Keeper. He's going to be on the run. Now, the Blink is down. Moves on him. There's the Hope goes underground, silenced, and left alone. This should be the end of Kronos. And they burn the ultimate. Oh, wow. Sky jumps in and gets a nice triple stun, but it's too little too late. Aether Lens makes it impossible for Sky to escape. The double, the kills just keep pouring in, and now they'll be able to push down this bottom tower virtually uncontested. And you're right, Kronos was just too deep, and when you lose Kronos, you lose the 46 seconds that he's down, because now UC Davis knows that they can go out, they can have their supports stopping pushes on other lanes and not worry about ganks, and it just opens you up to do whatever you want to do, like Blink Initiate on the Witch Doctor.
Yeah, it's the silencer has been wreaking havoc on UCSD's lineup. The Witch Doctor there almost had a phenomenal cask in the ult setup, but Global Silence was just too much.
Alice Marigold getting chased by PMA. Yeah, it's just it's absolutely brutal. His timing has been on top of things, and so far, UC Davis looking like they're executing their game plan. They had a little bit of a kerfuffle there in the middle as they got picked off a few times by UCSD, but they regrouped, curbed their cockiness, and got back on track.
I do like the Invoker split pushing, though, in the meantime. He's getting a farm, albeit lessened because of the barracks. He's farming up the Aghanims, and they're giving up the map like they need to.
Well, let's take a look at this. I know Invoker was sort of supposed to be the linchpin on the team here. He's about to get almost there for his Ag Scepter. It's up. He just needs to collect it all, it looks like. Or about to. Ooh. What's the road back for UCSD? I mean, we're at 10,000 gold for UC Davis.
As you mentioned, grouping is the death of San Diego.
Yeah.
That's where they lose the game, essentially. And they're going to have to. But this Fen is just going to absolutely decimate the Witch Doctor.
Yep. Echo Saber with the God Strength pops him down in 2, opens them up to push the mid. We lose that tower, and now he's going to go straight towards the high ground. I don't know if you saw that. That was Invoker killed from a huge distance because of the Hurricane Pike and the Desolator. God, I don't know. And now that Invoker's down, he doesn't have a buyback. Witch Doctor's down as well. It clears them to push this lane, and now they're going to see that Slark is on the bottom, so they're just going to go right up there and take this tower and presumably the racks as well.
There's nothing that UCSD could really do other than what Kronos is doing right now, and that's try to keep himself relevant. If nothing else, take these waves, take this tower. You're going to lose another set of racks, but that's inevitable with Kronos there or not. So
that's 2 sets of racks at 26 minutes. UC Davis playing the same game they played last time around. Now he's initiation. There goes Ricky just to slow him down. Puts up the mischance. Goes with the ultimate. Jumps out to safety, but they will still lose the racks with the harass. Kronos looking to get a little something out of this, but immediately the Sentry Wards are thrown down en masse by Radiant as they move forward. They catch themselves Alice. Alice is just barely going to survive. Nice silence coming out from the Silencer, but it's not really going to save anything. BKB used by Sven, and he'll walk away. Keeper of the Light fed to the opponents on the bottom. Kronos now on the run, and they want to head straight down to this bottom lane. Look at this. Sven is just up here like he's out, like Alchemist was last time, just not quite as survivable as he used to be. So a good pickoff on Sven there. He buys back into the game. No boots to travel, so a bit of a rage buyback, I suppose?
I think that falls into the overconfidence category that we were talking about a bit before the game. Davis knows that they're strong, and I feel like that one, yeah, they got a set of racks, so that's not necessarily unwarranted, but that was obviously too long for them to be sticking around.
So his team is pinging him, it looks like, as he bought back so he could farm, but remember, a 60% gold reduction because of the buyback. So interesting that Sven would choose to do that, but it is what it is. Gold lead because of the buyback especially has fallen off. They're only at 15,000 right now. XP at about 9.
Poor them.
Poor them.
Yeah. Even with that, the curving of it, so to speak, UCSD, this Roshan will be a lifeline to them should they get it. And I'm not even sure it's guaranteed. There's Davis grouping up around them. They seem to know.
They got a feel for it. There's the ultimate, comes out from Hope, goes right in, hits everybody. From the back, comes in the Sven, but he's stuck on the high ground. His blink was ineffective, and he's out of the fight. This could be huge. Ultimate comes out from the Witch Doctor to melt down. They've lost one in the Keeper of the Light. Sunstrike will come as well. Silencer hides in the trees, gets caught from Kronos on the backside. He has nowhere to go, so he will go down. Hope underground, trying to do a little bit of damage. Sven finally gets his Blink Dagger off a cooldown and responds. Can they finish the job? Hope wants to chase. Nice play by the Invoker to slow him down. Ms. Pig now wants to go on the Invoker. High ground. Barbecue, please. Gets out a nice boom, but the BKB is there. PMA has returned to the fight and will kill the Invoker. Now it will be the death of the Witch Doctor, presumably. He goes Force Staff to the high ground. Does look like he might get away from this. A lot of disjoints on every single stun cast. PMA does ultimately get the pick on Witch Doctor, and that will allow the guys from Radiant to basically skip going back to the Roche and just push into the high ground, either force the buybacks or finish the rags. The decisions you see SD has to make. And you know what? I thought they were going to pull it off after that missed blink by Sven. It's just they stayed too long, I guess. UCD just came right back into it.
Yeah, and the buybacks here are I feel symbolic.
Yeah.
Yes, we're still fighting, but this game seems to be in the books. The kill's much closer this time around, but that's awfully deceptive when you're losing barracks at the same time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we do see a Demon Edge up on the Sven right now. I wonder what that's going to... interesting.
I'm hoping Rapier, but most
Is that just a cocky... Is that just a super cocky Rapier?
I don't think so, because that would actually be a way to lose this game.
Right.
But... why not, I guess? They have nothing to lose other than if they fear losing a game 3. And
right.
Fear is not something I really see in UC Davis's playstyle.
Nope, UC Davis sees the Sunstrike come out. They jump in right afterwards, start to put some damage. They know the rotation's coming. Alice is seen. Nice sentry ward, makes their move. Big initiation by the Slardar. Will it be enough? Jacobo from the outside with the Illuminate. Down goes Alice, ultimate from Hope, putting a lot of damage. He wants to go after Slardar. Slardar getting very low, trying to buy some blink time. Not going to happen. He does manage to get himself sort of out. Silencer drops down to a nice Invoker Sunstrike, but we have lost the Slark. We have lost the Riki, and now if they can close this chase down, they want strongest. They're not going to get it. Barbecue, please. What? Wow. Max range stun, ripped apart with the Echo Saber, and they'll go back to finishing up the Roche.
The range of Burrow Strike with Aether Lens is absurd. 1,500 units of stun range or escape. Should you?
And then you pair that with the initiation potential from the Blink Dagger, and it means I think Gorgon said it best. You can engage from 2 screen lengths away on these Blink Dagger Sand King Aether Lens.
That's nuts. That is absolutely ridiculous.
Much like PMA soloing down these racks.
Yeah, and again, UCSD is sure throw out some of your disables.
But it doesn't matter. I mean, he'll just racks. Even if he goes down, he's taking one of the racks. He turns back. Not going to go down. In fact, he's going to wreck the Invoker. Invoker has to go invis to get himself out of this. And that means PMA can just do what he wants to do. Alice getting slowed. PMA on the chase. Sky comes in for the stun. But then's got to run for the hills. So he'll just keep them busy, basically, hoping PMA will, as the final racks goes down to Sven. The game is afoot. Well, the game is underfoot, I guess, if you're UC Davis. PMA finally picked off, but he's got the Aegis. Bought the time. The Rax is low. Xylon in some trouble from Kronos. Nice stun by Hope on the backup. PMA comes back up, finishes the Rax, and then goes back into chasing towards the Fountain. All of the towers are down in the mid. The creeps have put in some serious work during this whole process. Kronos BKB has run out, which will make him susceptible to PMA's kill. And that should be the end of the game. No buyback on the Slark. Sven comes forward. We lose the Invoker. And just like that, 32 minutes into Game 2 with a gold lead of over almost 25,000 and an XP of 20. And we're diving the Ancient again.
This is why Davis is the strongest team in the league. I don't remember seeing them make a mistake, before the high ground cockiness, should you call it that. They are just a strong, cohesive team, and this is without their mid laner Lucky. These guys look incredibly strong moving into the second season.
Yep, so that's the end of the game, guys. It was quite the win by UC Davis. My name's Toffees. You can follow me at Toffees TV. I'm joined by Chaz. Where can they find you if they're looking for you?
At Chasmus on Twitter.
Chasmus on Twitter. You can follow all of us at C Star League, guys. Brought to you by Band. Speaking of Band, who is your player of the game, Chaz?
Hope. His Sand King was phenomenal this game, and his itemization was essentially exactly what they needed every time.
Absolutely. So, nailed it down, did a great job, and not much else to say other than congratulations to UC Davis to keeping the win streak alive. Have a wonderful evening. Big shout out to Twitch and Band for making this possible. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next season.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Download Band. Communication made easy.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. This is CSL. Now keep in mind, we're going on winter break. We'll be back with the spring season to determine who goes to the playoffs this year for the CSL. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back. Keep an eye on @CStarLeague over on Twitter for announcements on when the season will return. It's been wonderful spending this time with you, and I hope that you have a wonderful evening along those lines. Don't forget to sleep easy.